Good day, grade 10. This is your chapter 1 revision, day 2, worksheet 2. You had to work through the notes, and then on page 4 of your notes, you'll find worksheet 2. This is the memo and the discussion of the memo for worksheet 2. So let's start. First, I have a binomial times a binomial, 2x minus 3, 3x plus 4. So this is the FOIL rule. FOIL, firsts, outsides, insides, and lasts. This is what we learned in grade 9. So it's going to be 2x times 3x is 6x squared. Then 2x times 4 is positive 8x. Negative 3 times 3x is negative 9x. And negative 3 times 4 is negative 12. Then I find like terms. I see the positive 8x minus 9x are like terms, so I can add them. 6x squared minus x minus 12. Right, number 2 is a binomial times a trinomial. What I do here is I take the first one, multiply it with everything in the second bracket, and then I take the second one and multiply it with everything in the second bracket. So it's 2y times y squared is 2y to the power of 3. Then 2y times negative 2y is negative 4y squared. 2y times negative 3 is negative 6y. Then I take the 1 and multiply it with everything in the second bracket. 1 times y squared is y squared. 1 times negative 2y is negative 2y, and 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Then I look for like terms. I take my highlighters and I mark them. Y squared I mark with pink, and y I mark with blue. 2y to the power 3 doesn't have a friend. It stays just like that. Negative 4y squared plus y squared is negative 3y squared. And the blue ones, negative 6y minus another 2y is negative 8y. Minus 3 doesn't have a friend, so it stays like that. Number 3. Number 3 is x minus a half squared. So that means that it is that bracket twice. So it's x minus a half, x minus a half. Now it's the FOIL rule again. So it's going to be firsts, outsides, insides, lasts. X times x is x squared. X times negative half is negative a half x. Negative half times x is negative a half x. And negative a half times negative a half is positive a quarter. If I didn't know what that was, I could put it into my calculator, or I can think. Negative a half times negative a half is equal to negative times negative is positive, then top times top, bottom times bottom. 1 times 1 is 1, 2 times 2 is 4. So it's positive a quarter. Then I have to find like terms. X squared doesn't have a friend, it stays just like that. Then negative half minus another half x is negative 1x. I don't need to write the 1, it's better not to write the 1, I just write negative x plus a quarter. But as you can remember, we had a shortcut for questions like these. So you could do the shortcut as follows. So if I have x minus a half squared, then I take the first one and square it. So it's x squared. I leave a space open and I do the last one squared. Negative a half squared is positive a quarter. Then for the middle term, it's the first one times the second one times 2. So here's what I think. I think the first one, x, times the second one, negative a half, times 2. X times negative a half is negative a half x, times 2 is negative 1x. So I just write negative x. Let me just go back to that for a second. So it's negative x. Ooh, sorry. That is way easier than or shorter, way shorter than the long way. But if you cannot remember the shortcut, please use the FOIL rule. Then number 4. This is a binomial times a trinomial again. Then I take the first one and multiply it with everything in the second bracket, and take the second one and multiply it with everything in the second bracket. So it's 3x times 9x squared is 27x to the power 3. 3x times 6xy is 18x squared y. Then 3x times 4y squared is 12xy squared. Then I take the second one and multiply it with everything in the second bracket. So it's negative 2y times 9x squared is negative 18x squared y. Negative 2y times 6xy is negative 12xy squared. And negative 2y times 4y squared is negative 8y to the power 3. Then I find like terms with my highlighters. I mark everything with the same color that are like terms. 27x to the power 3 stays just like that. Then I have 18x squared y minus 18x squared y, that is 0. And then plus 12xy squared minus 12xy squared also adds up to 0. So I'm only left with negative 8y to the power 3. This is a very short answer. This is not always the case. So here's something interesting. What if I factorize this answer? If I factorize 27x to the power 3 minus 8 to the power 3, this is the difference between cubes. So it's going to be factorized like this. 3x minus 2y, 9x squared plus 6xy plus 4y squared. And what do we see here? Aha! We get the same algebraic expression as in the question of number 4. That's nice. All right. Number 5. X minus 3 over x squared. So again, I can write the bracket twice, or I can use the shortcut. First, let us do the bracket twice. So I'll write it out twice, x minus 3 over x. Alright, then I take the first one, multiply it with both x times x is x squared. It's the FOIL rule, x times negative 3 over x is negative 3x over x. Negative 3x times x is negative 3x over x. And negative 3 over x times negative 3 over x is positive 9 over x squared. Then x squared. Then I can cancel out the middle terms, have x's on the top and the bottom, so I can cancel out the x's. So I'm just left with a 3 and a negative 3 plus 9x squared over x squared. Then I can subtract those 3, so I get x squared minus 6 minus 9 plus 9 over x squared. Or, to do the shortcut, I write it out, x minus 3 over x squared. First, it's the first one squared, x squared, then I leave a little space, and I do the last one squared, which is 9 over x squared, plus 9 over x squared. To get the middle term, it's the first one times the second one times 2. So here's what I'm thinking. The first one, x, times the second one, negative 3 over x, times 2. So x I can put over 1. Then it cancels out with the other x. So x times negative 3 over x is just negative 3 times 2 is negative 6. So I can put that in there. It's way faster. Right, number 6. Last one. 2x minus 3y and then a trinomial, 3x squared minus 2xy plus 7y squared. To multiply a binomial and a trinomial, it's the first one times everything in the second bracket, and the last one times everything in the second bracket. So it's 2x times 3x squared is 6x to the power 3. 2x times negative 2xy is 4x squared y, negative 4x squared y. 2x times 7y squared is plus 14xy squared. Negative 3y times 3x squared is negative 9x squared y. Negative 3y times negative 2xy is positive 6xy squared. Negative 3y times 7y squared is negative 21y to the power 3. Then I find like terms, mark them with my highlighters, so it's 6x to the power 3. Then negative 4 minus another 9, the pink ones, will be negative 13x squared y. Then the blue ones, 14 plus 6 is plus 20xy squared, and negative 21y to the power 3. That's it for day 2, worksheet 2. Please remember your teacher's email address is on the web page if you need anything or want to ask any questions.